Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Excel. Today's topic, we will be discussing about auditing tools and text functions, state functions, and much more. So let's start without any further ado. So first things first, what are auditing tools? So auditing tools are basically those tools which are there, which will help you to audit, to calculate, and to do all these sorts of tables and databases you will be doing. You will be using most of these tools. So for using these tools, they actually, in Excel, it follows BODMAS rule. So B being brackets, O being order, D being division, M being multiplication, A being addition, and S being subtraction. So we have all these. So we have all these stuffs which you can see right now. And I will show you how Excel interprets its data when you're trying to write them all together. If I write something, let me just go with this example. If I write this equation, 98 multiplied by 86 minus 96 multiplied by 7, divide that by 98, add that with 63 and subtract it with 85. So we have written down this statement here. And once we have written down and press enter, it gives us this specific value. If you use it in calculator, if you do the same equation, if you write the same things in your calculator, your answer might probably be different. The reason why it's different is because of mainly two reasons. The first reason being calculator doesn't follow BODMAS rule by default. You have to give brackets and everything. On the other hand, Excel, even though you don't give brackets and everything, then too it will solve by doing by itself. That is evident with some functions. Excuse me. So that is being evident with these functions. So let me just show you how this works. If I just take my cursor here and click it, you can see that in your formula bar, you can see all these functions, which is there very well and fine. We will go to data. Now in your data file, you will be finding, we have a question. Are you typing something? I can't see. Right, is it, can you see now? Mr. Nasir, I think I had shared you the wrong file, or is it this screen? Can you see now? All right, perfect. So when I click on that specific cell, you can see that we have written down something. We have this something. So that's 98 multiplied by 86 minus 96 multiplied by 7. Divide that by 98, add this with 65, subtract it with 85. So I've written down all these equations, and then when I press enter, then only this value is coming up. Now, if you write down the same thing in calculator, if I just use my calculator here, if I write down the same, then answer might be different. I'll just show you. So if I just write this whole equation, 98 multiplied by 86 minus 96, multiply that with 7, divide that with 98, add this with 63, 63, oh shit. Okay, never mind, I'll just write this down, 98 multiplied by 86 minus 96, multiply by 7, divide by 98, plus 63 minus 85. So here you can see that my final answer is 573. If I do the same, the answer here is different. Why is that so? Because the calculator itself doesn't follow BODMAS rule. If you want the accurate result, you can't do it in calculator, because that calculation will depend differently in Excel. Excel does its calculation based on BODMAS rule. If you don't know what BODMAS rule is, it's here. B being brackets, O being order, D means division, M being multiplication, A being addition, and S being subtraction. So we have all these things which will be evaluated step by step. First comes the bracket, then comes the order. Order is nothing but exponential values, e to the power of x, x to the power of 2. Division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So that's the rule in mathematics. You have to keep that in mind. So that being said, if you want to cross-check how this worked actually, how did the calculation being made by Excel was done, is it accurate or not? If you want to check, you can check it by doing we call them as formula validation. So for formula validation, we will be going to the formula section here on top. Then we will be evaluating our formula by clicking evaluate formula on top here. So once you click that, now here, as I'm selected, as I've already selected the cell, you can see what this equation is doing. First, it takes this equation, that is 98 multiplied by 86, then evaluate, then it multiplies 96 by 7. After that, it divides 672 by 98. Then it takes in the whole thing and subtract the 8428 minus 6 point something. This would be the final answer. Then add it with 63. Then your final answer minus it with 85. So this will give you your final result. So this is how you can use it, just to show how the Excel is calculating your functions. Now, if you may find it different than what you have done here, and it's different than in calculator, that means you're probably doing calculations wrong in the calculator, because in Excel, it does follow BODMAS rule. So that's how you can evaluate any of the formula. We have certain more steps. We have trace precedence, trace dependence, show formulas. It's nothing, it's just, it's there. I will show you what does it mean. So we have trace precedence, trace dependence, and remove arrows. So let me just explain them all, these three. First, I will write 1, here I will write 2, and here I will say this plus this. So the value which you can find here is actually the value which is dependent on these two cells, which you can see. So we can say that this value is actually depending on these two cells in order to change its value. 1 plus 2, that's 3. So if we want to say that where is this value being dependent on, we have to click trace dependence. Oh, sorry, trace precedence. So when you click trace precedence, it will show you where this value is coming from. So here it says this value is coming from this cell, and the final value is here. At the same time, what does trace dependence mean? If I want to remove the arrow, which you can see here, I can just press this button and the arrow will be removed. Now, if I want to add some new function after this, let me just do this. 1 plus this value, whichever it's coming, that's 4. Now, if I click here and select trace dependence, it will show that this value is being depending on this. So if I change something here, then the value will change here as well. So this is a very sweet way of showing where the value is coming from. Where is this value being taken from? Is it coming from this or somewhere else? So if I take this value, it doesn't have any dependence, it doesn't have any dependence or precedence. So therefore, it won't show me anything. If I just click precedence, it doesn't show anything. If I trace dependence, it doesn't show anything. But if I have something here which says 2 plus this value, then it will show me that it's being precedented with something else. Sorry. It's being dependent on something else. But if this value is taking another value, that is this, then it will show me that this is being precedented by this. So we can say that 1 and 2 values, these two values are being calculated and it's showing here. And this value, if we change something, it will affect this value. This value will affect this value, and this value will affect this value. That's just a way of representing how the value is being calculated, or how the value is being, how the value is being shown. If I click remove arrows, everything else will be removed. So that's how you will be finding precedence and dependence. Dependent means if this value, if I change this, will it be depending on something else? Precedence is nothing but that value which is being followed with some other values. So that's precedence and that dependence. Remove arrows is nothing but to remove the arrows once we have calculated the dependence or precedence. So just click remove arrows to remove the arrows. We have something called as show formulas. Show formulas can also be toggled by using your keyboard by pressing and holding Control and then pressing this button, which you can see here. So when you click this button, it will show you formula and it will hide formula depending on it. The same way, you can just click here, it means the same. If you click it, it will show all the formulas which are there in your specific worksheet. What do I mean by that? Let me just give you an example. If I write this formula here, equals sum 9 comma 10. So it says 19. That means I'm doing the sum for these two values. So if I have to do this, then when I press enter, it shows me 19. That means this value is actually the sum of that. But if I click here, then only I will come to know that it's actually a formula, not an actual value. So we can change this without selecting and seeing that in formula bar. We can just see that it's the formula itself by pressing and holding control and then negation. Negation is nothing but this. If you don't understand, it's the negation key. So control and this both together. So when you click that, it will do this. When I click show formula, it would do this. So all the things whichever are written in formula, it will be shown. So this is how you can use show formula to see how the things are, and to click show formula again to bring this back to normal. So that's about show formula, trace precedence, dependence, showing arrow, and so forth. Then we have something called as error checking. What do I mean by that is this. If I press if function, now you have, as I've already gone through if function, I will just write this down. I will say that 9 greater than 10. And then I will say this is true, comma, this is false. I'm not using quotations. Now you see what will happen. There is an error. Now this is an error, of course. If this has actually an error. If you want to see what that error is, you will just go and click error checking. After this, you will see that the formula contains unrecognized text. So whatever the error will happen in your Excel, you can just get the help for that specific error. It says the formula contains unrecognized steps or unrecognized text. So you can make it recognizable by writing quotations. This is recognized now. So it will show you what the error is by selecting that specific thing and writing down the value. That was how you do it. All right, then coming to the next section. We have something called as text functions. Now, what do you mean by text function? It's there to create functionalities or formulas with regard to your text. Let's come each one by one now. So first, let's talk about trim. So what trim does, is this. You can see that my name has some spaces before me. And this will prove to be very wrong when I'm trying to write this down in a VLOOKUP function. So if I'm trying to write this down, the same formula in VLOOKUP function, the VLOOKUP might not consider me writing this because there are so many spaces in between. So for using table or creating rows and stuff, you must not have any spaces in between. But if you are trying to copy the text or data from ERP, that is Enterprise Resource Planning, if you're trying to get the data from there, or Customer Resource Management, that is CRM, you may possibly get spaces which are unwanted, because those data will be comma separated values, and when you're copying and pasting it here, there are fair chances that you might be getting spaces in between. So when we consider that we have to come up with a formula to remove the unwanted spaces from before. So how can we do that? Is by using trim. It's very simple to use trim. You will just be pressing equals, writing down trim, and then selecting the cell which you want to remove the spaces from, and then close the bracket and then hit enter. So this will remove, it will trim whatever the text is written here. If you want to just do the same for all, you don't need to write the formula again. You can just press and drag it down. So this is how you can remove the unwanted spaces at the beginning of the text. Coming to the proper. Proper as in case sensitive letters, not case sensitive, proper being in, as in the grammar of English, proper sentences. So those are the sentences which are written down in proper text. Proper text is this: first letter capital, rest all small. So we can say that first letter capital, rest all are in lowercase. So first letter in uppercase and left, and whatever there are left, they are all in lowercase. So how can we check them? It's very simple. You just select proper and write down proper here. Select the text, whichever there is, close the bracket, hit enter. You can see that it's proper itself. I'll just bring it down. Now you can see that there are some things written down in first letter capital and rest all capitals again. It's now being converted into uh, the same. If I change this to capital AATT, even though I change it to capital ATT, trim is changing the space, but it doesn't change the proper function. The proper changes this, but it doesn't change the trim. It doesn't trim the starting of it. So that's the difference between them. Trim removes spaces only. Proper, it changes the text, the capital or small letters to a proper sentence cases. Then coming to upper. Upper is nothing but uppercase. So whenever you are typing something, it takes in uppercases and it will write down the same in uppercase. So just do it here real quick and show it to you. This, of course, I need to write upper, and then select the text and just bring it down. So now you can see all the values, whichever I'm going to write down, they will all come in capital letters or uppercase. So this is happening because we have selected the value and then we have just got it down. So that's how you will be doing it for uppercase. Coming to the lowercase, it's the same. Lower and then the text, close the bracket, hit enter, and that's how you'll be getting lower text. Before I go to len, there is one more thing called as using nested trim functions in all the other functions. You can use nested trim. Nested means what? Nested means inside some other function. That's nested. So you can use your nested trim in order to remove spaces while performing proper upper or lower function. So you can use these proper upper and lower function while using trim. So let me just show you the example for it. You have seen that before we used proper as like this. So as we have used proper like before, but before I write down the text, before I select the text, I will write down one more formula, that is trim. So you see what I have done. I have written down proper, but before proper, I have written down trim and then the text. Close the bracket 2 times. So now what happens is that it will write down the name. It will write down the name by removing the first spaces. So it's trimming as well, and at the same time, it's doing the proper function. You don't need to change anything else now. Just drag this down, and it should hopefully do the bidding. Simple. Then coming to upper function. In your upper function, you will be using the same with trim. So upper, trim, select text, close the bracket, press enter. This is how you will be using the upper function. Drag it down, and there you go. You have your functions being properly sorted with upper function. I'm going with lower, trim, select the text, close the bracket, same, drag it down. You can also do this. Select them all, or you can just double click here. It will do the same. Just double click, that's it. Len actually works for the length of the characters. If you ever had to come across a situation in which you need to sort letters which are less than 10, the names which are less than 10 characters, sort them in one place. Letters, names that those lens are in more than 20 characters, sort them in one place. So if you want this to be there, you'll be using this formula. So if I use len and then select the text, it will calculate spaces. It will also calculate the letters. So if I write the len of this first section and press enter, it will give me the length of it. Let's calculate manually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This is your 9th letter. So that is 9 length of characters. But if I want to see only characters, I don't want spaces in between, I can just write trim. And then the and then your value. So it's len open bracket trim, and then you're using this formula. So it will give you 4, MATT, that's 4. You can just do the same for all by selecting the cell, double clicking on this green button, just double click on the green knob at the end corner, and then you'll have all the values written down here. We don't need the last one, so remove it. That's how simple it is. So using the text functions is as simple as just using trim. You can use trim as a nested property for all other functions. Simple and easy. Then we have left, right, mid, concatenate. These are the functions which we have already gone through. But then as for information of conversation, let's just give you how this works. Before I start with anything, remember that this is the same thing which we have done in, I believe, in your advanced fill with formatting, left, right, mid, that's the same by using a formula. But this was for code. You can do it for the names. You can do it for anything else. So that's the same thing which we are going to do here, but in a more advanced way. Coming to the left. So through left, you can just use equals, select the value, and you can just write how many characters you want from the left. MA, I just want 2 characters. Just type 2, close the bracket, it will only give you 2. There are first 2 characters. Right, from right, how many characters do you want? I will use equals right. Select 2 characters of this, press enter. So it's right, select the characters, comma 2. It gives you 2 characters. Just copy it down. For the mid, it's a bit different and a bit tricky. For mid, you will be using MID, selecting the text, comma. You will be mentioning the start number. Start number is nothing but the characters from which you want to pull the data in. I want 80 to be here. So it's the second character and third character. So from the second character, take 2 characters. This is what it means. So from the second character, that is A, take 2 characters, that is A and T. So once you take that, you'll be closing the bracket and hitting enter. So there you go, we have A and T. We'll just drag this down to see that we have AT, AL, OS, UM, AR, and so forth. Of course, they are not in proper text. You can still use proper and trim inside this as well. If you want this to happen, before the text, just write proper or upper, whichever you like. And then you can also use trim in this and then close the bracket in here. It would still work fine. Or maybe not. Let me see what's left that we have used for upper. Oh yes, the only thing is that we can't use the formatting tool with your upper and stuff. So we can use trim, but you can't use the upper. So you can use trim, but you can't use the upper, because if you do that, then it will not take in, because it will take only nested. There is only nested option available. For using more than 2 properties, you need to use and or, which is not possible in text. We have to close with the same number of brackets. Yes, you have to close with the same number of brackets. As you have started, you can just see with the color itself. So the first bracket will always be there in black. The second bracket will always be there in red. The third bracket will always be there in blue, and the fourth bracket will always be there in orange. So if I just write this down here, you can see first bracket black, second bracket red, third bracket violet, fourth bracket green, fifth bracket pink, sixth bracket pink again, seventh, eighth. So all these will have different colors. So you can just make it out by just getting the color code. So if it's coming black and red, that means you just have 2 brackets opened and closing at the same time. If you have violet color being coming up anywhere, that means there are 3 more brackets. If pink color is coming up, then it's 4 brackets. So you can just make it out by using the color code, by seeing the color code. And then you can just double click and it will do the same. This is how you will be using left, right, mid. Coming to concatenate. For concatenate function, you will be using the same. equals concatenate, select the first cell, comma, select the second cell. And when you use concatenate, that means you are linking two cells together. Left it's MA, right it's TT. You'll be selecting them both, concatenating them both, closing it, pressing enter. This concatenates the whole sentence. You can just do it and you can just bring it down. And this will give you all the values for your text functions. All right. Now coming to this, that is find function. So what find does is that it will find the letter in that specific cell value. Then again, you may say that how can we use this? Where is the application of this? Then again, this application can be used for finding a specific character, like a specific letter inside the whole database. So then again, it's not useful, but then too, it's still there in your syllabus. You may find it as a necessary option in some other time. But as it's in your syllabus, I will just be explaining it to you. So how will you explain, how will you learn this find? Is very simple. You will be writing find first, selecting the text, whichever in which text you need to find that specific thing. Sorry, you need to select which text you need to find. I will be writing down my capital M. Wherever capital M is there, I want to find. And then it will say within what? Within this text, I want to find the letter M. And then I'll just close it and then hit enter. This will give me that it's 8th character. You can see now, if I just calculate it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8th character is capital M, so that's why it shows 8th is the letter for capital M. It's case sensitive, remember. If you don't want to be case sensitive, you just want to write capital M and you want wherever the first M comes, I need that, then you have to use search option. That is SEARCH. And even though you write capital M, small m, it doesn't matter. It will still show you the first value which it takes in. First characters, the case sensitive or case insensitive, you'll be doing it by using this find and search. So I'll show you again, how do you do this? It's find and then you'll be writing which letter you want to follow. I want to find M, or let's go with Y here. I want to find Y from which text? From this text. And then I'll just close the bracket. So this will give me the value for, this is the 5th character of this specific cell. Similarly, we can go with this. It's the same. You will be doing, instead of find, you'll be using search. And then you'll be selecting the text by writing the letter. Where is A here? And then I will say within this text. So it should show me 2. But if I write the same for this cell by writing down here and then press enter, it will show me that it's 2nd. If I give this value as capital A and I ask find to do it for me by writing A here, capital A, and then selecting the text, I want where capital A is, then it should show me that it's 9th character. So it shows me 9th. But if I do the same here with the same value, capital A, with selecting this text, it will still show me 2nd. Why? Because it's case insensitive. So you get the value. Then we have replace and substitute. So we have replace and substitute. Just a second, my dear students. Just give me a second, please. Yes, sorry about that. All right. So with this, you will be using a replace function in order to do that. So how can you use replace function is just a minute, my dear students. Give me 2 minutes. We'll just take a 2 minutes of break. Just give me 2 minutes and I'll be back. Yes. Sorry about that. There was something in my eye. I have to go and see it. Okay, never mind. We are back again. So now coming to the replace function. So replace function works in a very simple manner. It will give you the ability to replace certain text, certain specific letter, not text, but certain specific letter from your word. Like for instance, if here I want FORT, here FORT is there. I want to change this FORT with something else. Let's go with this. FORT. Let's change this to TRAIN, train, train ran. So if I want to do that, so how can we do it is by selecting first the old text. This is my old text. And I want to see where it's starting from. I want to say that it starts from 1. That means from the first letter itself. How many letters do you want to change? I want to change FORT, that those are 4 letters. And how do you want this to be changed to? I want the first 4 letters. In the first 4 letters, I want FORT to be changed with TRAI. Treran. Okay, so we'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4, and then I will just close it and then close the text. And then when I press enter, this is how it shows. Treran. So it's 4 letters, first 4 letters being replaced with something else. So you are using replace function to specifically change those letters, which you can't do it by using just the replace function, by just using the Control H button. So that's about replace. Coming to the substitute functions. So the substitute functions work as simple as the replace itself. So instead of replace, you'll be using substitute. And after using substitute, you will be writing down the old text which is written down here, and you will change it with the new text which is written down here. So now let me show you how this works. You will say substitute. And after substitute, you will be selecting the letter. And after this, you will be saying it was this before, and I want to change it to Fortran. So just close it, press enter. Now you can see that this Humayun is now changed to Fortran in here. Doesn't do much, it just replaces it, but then again, this is just a formula for you to remember. So that completes our text functions. Coming to the date functions now. The date functions are very simple and easy to understand. There are basically 3 different date functions. First being today, by writing equals today, open bracket, close bracket, don't write anything in between. This will give you the date for today with the same format as it's fed with your computer. You can see whatever it's there in my computer, it takes in and shows me. It doesn't have its own clock time, it takes in from the windows. Similarly, if I write the same here, but if I want time, with time, how many hours and how many minutes, I have to write now. So the now function is used to show the time with the date. So here it shows the date, and then it shows 21 hours, 10 minutes. 1 minute ago it was 10 minutes. Now it changed to 11. So we'll just do it again. Now you can see it's 21:11. So it shows the date and time in this format. If you want to change the format, I will show you how to change the format in a few minutes. But before that, the functions of date. If you want to add date, like for instance, from today, I want to see after 60 days what date will be. I can write today, and after that, I will write plus 60 days. After 60 days, what would be the day today? It would be 1st of August 2020. After 90 days, what would it be? It would be 31st of August 2020. Where was I before 190 days? Before, I will just change the sign to minus. If you can't see, I'll just zoom this in. Instead of plus, I will just write minus. Now when I write minus and press enter, it will throw me back 90 days before. Before 90 days, I was in this month, 4/3/2020. Before 190 days, I was in 25th of November 2019. It also shows me time Why it shows me time? It's because the format of this specific cell before I started this project was set to the format which I will be changing now. So this is how you'll be changing the format. Right click, select format cells. In format cells, you will be finding custom, and in custom, you will find this. It was already given HHMM, that's why it was not giving you the accurate date as I'm using only today function. Now, if I just press OK, so now you can see the proper today function shows me. If I want to see different format, here it shows month first, sorry, date first, then month, then year. If I want to show the same way, if I wanted to show the same way, but first should be year, second should be date, and third should be month, I can still do that. How can we do it? Is by selecting the cell, right-clicking it, going to format cells, which is here. You can also choose home and then click this button. You can also choose this button and select more number formats. So there are three ways of doing it. The easiest way being right-clicking and selecting format cell. Second way is to select home, go click this number button. Third being click here and select more number formats. All three, they will have the same functionality. And after you select and click format cells, in your format cells option, you will be going to custom. In this custom, you can change this by writing DDMMYY. Here, I need to explain you what DDMMYY stands for. Single M stands for single number digit. MM stands for double number digit. MMM stands for small text. MMM stands for full form text. Similar to D means the same. Similar to DD still means the same, the date in double digit format. Similar to this, DDD, it would show you in day in small text. MMMM, it shows you date in small text. So now, if I want to show you here, what do I mean? Let me just show it to you in a real way. But this will, M, single digit number, will only work when my date is set to single digit. It says 2511. That's why it will still show me 2-digit only. Even though I try using 1M, then it will show me double digit. Why? Because M cannot be, 25 cannot be represented in single digit. However, if it's 1, 2, 3 up to 9, it will show me in 0, 1, 2, 3 just as it is. If I write MM there, it will show me in 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5. If I write triple M, then it will show me in text, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or January, February, March in JAN, FEB. I'll just show you now. So let me just write down today function. And let me just drop this till here. Then coming to the next, first, let me do this. It shows, okay, now you can see this will be evident. 02/06/2020. So now we will change it to format cells, selecting customs. I will change whole thing to single D, single M, and double year. When I press OK, you can see that it shows 2/2/20. Similarly, I will write down, click, and here in this, we will select custom. And in general, I will select date, month, and year, but by writing 2Y, 2Ms, and 2Ds. 02/06/2020. Similarly here, if I change this, triple M, if I just go to custom, select triple M, triple D, triple M, and triple Y. It shows Tuesday of June 2020. If I want to give full, select format cells, select custom, DD, DD, MM, MM, YY, YY. Tuesday, June 2020. So that's how your cell works in this manner. That's how your date function works. If you want to add month, like for instance, after 50 months, what will be the date for today? If you want to add that, then you will be calculating those months by using some other function. That formula is what we call it as eDate. So I'll write e date here, and then I need to write down the today's date. The start date is this. That is today date. This I've written down today. So that's my start date, comma. How many months do you want to add? I want to add 60 months. After 60 months, where will I be? When I press enter, it will give me some random value. Don't worry, keep it. Just go to home, select general, select short date. So after 60 months, we will be in 2nd June 2025. So not too far away, huh? Then 2. That's how we will be after 60 months. After 160 months, we will be in 2033. After 100 months, we'll be in 2028. After 300 months, we'll be in 2045. After 600 months, we will be in 2070. So that's how you can calculate the time by just using the e-date, but this time you will be doing it for months. You will not be doing it for days. For days, you'll be using the formula called as today and then plus or minus. For e-date, you will be doing this. You can do it for negative numbers as well. If you want to go 600 months back, minus 600, 1970, plus 600, 2070. Simple. So that's how it will be. Now coming to the next function, that is date function advanced. So for date functions advanced, this is where you will be using in order to calculate the working days of your company. Let's go with this example. I have this list in which the working days are mentioned. I need to calculate how many days should I be working given Saturday and Sunday are my holidays. If these 2 days are my holidays, then how many days should I be working for that company? So to explain that, we will be writing net work days, selecting the start date being this date, selecting the end date being this date. You should write those dates before you use this formula. So you'll be writing down the start date, you'll be writing down the end date, you'll be calculating it by selecting start date minus end date, and then you will just close the bracket and hit enter. So you can see that if I have to work from this date to this date, I should be working for 261 days given Saturday and Sunday being holiday. If I want to do the same thing, but with holidays, what if I have a list of holidays like this? And this is the list of holidays which I want to subtract this from here. So what Excel does is that it will not subtract these days from this unless these days lie from Monday to Friday. If they lie from Monday to Friday, then only it will be subtracted. If not, then it won't be subtracted. Give you an example for it. Equal net work days, select the start date, comma, select the end date, comma. In this, I will have the set of holidays which I will give. This is my set of holidays. And then close the bracket, hit enter. I will need to work 252 days only if these many days are my holidays. Then coming to network days international. International means if your working days are this, but this will not work in GCC because weekend in GCC are Fridays and Saturdays or just Friday. So if that is your condition, then you need to mention in Excel which day is your holiday. So for that to happen, you need to use this function, networking days, but you'll use .intl. Networking days.intl. That means international. And then you'll be selecting the start date, comma, the end date. And once you do that, once you press comma, it will give you a list in which you need to choose which is your weekend. If I select Friday and Saturday, 2-day weekend, it will take in the number, give a comma. Then it will show me when are your holidays? I don't need to give any holidays now. I just want to check how many days will it be. It would be 261 days only, Friday and Saturday. But let's check with these holidays in mind. Net working days, INTL with holidays. So here I will use network ANTL, and then I will select the start date, comma the end date, comma the weekend being Saturday and Sunday, not Saturday and Sunday, but being Friday and Saturday, and then selecting the list of holidays, which is here. Once you do that, close the bracket and then just hit enter. Now you see, it gives me 253 days. So if my holidays used to be in Saturday and Sunday, I used to get extra holiday. If I have to work some less holidays, sorry, if I have to work in GCC, I would get the same number of holidays, but one less. So that's how you will be using the net working days, the total working days you need to follow. Coming to ultra advanced date functions. So the ultra advanced date functions works, and this is your final topic as for today. Ultra advanced date functions work in a very simple process. You need to write date if, that's the only function. And then you will be writing the total number of years you have lived, total number of months you have lived, and total number of days you have lived. We can also calculate total number of hours you have lived so far. So how can we calculate? We'll just go ahead and take a date of birth here. We'll just go ahead and take a date of birth in which a person is born in 1980s, 1st of January 1980s. And today function I have written down in today. So that's your today function. That's the date of birth of some person. And now I will be calculating how many years he has lived, how many months he has lived, and how many days he has lived so far. So let's calculate them each one by one. For doing this, you need to write a formula which will not be auto-filled. So therefore, you will write date if completely. Even though the suggestion doesn't show up, then it's fine. Open the bracket, select the date, which is the starting date. This is your starting date. Remember, the date of birth would be the starting date, comma, the end date is today. And then I will say, show me the years by writing capital Y. Close the bracket, hit enter. Oops. Just a second, it must be A9 and B9. Date, oh, sorry, date if. I have written down the wrong spelling. So let me just bring down this back. So it's date diff, not date if. Date diff, that means date difference. So DATE-DIF, and then just press enter. So the person who was born in 1980, his age today would be 40 years. How many months? How many months so far? Total how many months? Date diff, open the bracket, start date, comma, end date, comma, I want total months in this. So I'll write capital M, 485 months. So he has lived 485 months so far. How many days did he live? So date diff, open the bracket, start date, comma, end date, comma, days, or capital D. That is capital D. He has lived 14,763. If you want to calculate total number of hours, we'll just do it. Equals this multiplied by 24. Days multiplied by 24 hours. That's how you will calculate total number of hours. Total number of minutes. It would be this multiplied by 60. So total number of minutes, total number of seconds, then again this multiplied by 60 would be your total number of seconds. So that's how a person has lived from this to this, 40 years, 485 months, these many days, these many hours, these many minutes. If you want to calculate the same thing, but apart from that, How many days did he live apart from these many years? How many months he has lived apart? That means I want precise date. If I tell you how many years you are, then you will say that I'm this many years, this many months, and these many days old, if you want someone to say that. So you'll be copying the same, and I will be using the same formulas, but the only difference would be that after writing your start date, after writing your end date, you will be writing years for this. This is fine. After writing your start date, let me just write that down. Before writing M, you will be writing YM. That means calculate with regard to, by removing years, calculate only the months. 40 years, 5 months. How many days? Remaining months and years, how many days did he live? 9, 9. Then here I will write living months, how many days? By writing MD. That means living months, how many days? So 40 years, 5 months and 1 day old. So someone who was born at 1st of January 1980, he is now 40 years, 1 month and 1 year old. So that's how you will be doing this. So that was your date and text functions and everything so far, whatever we have done. This covers our intermediate section. Now we will be coming to our advanced section from our next class. That comes from navigating through advanced and then going to ultra advanced date function, sorry, not ultra advanced, auditing function in advance. Then we will have VLOOKUP and so forth. So as for today, we have completed our intermediate section. So your beginners and intermediate are completed. Congratulations. You are now an intermediate Excel user. And if you have done whatever I have taught you so far, you are in right tempo and you just have to maintain it. In our next class, we will be, that is on Thursday, we will be discussing on how I'll be showing you some advanced tips and tricks. And now we will not be using any mouse. We will only be using our keyboard in order to do our stuffs in advanced Excel. So more over it, we will be going through on Thursday. Do you have any doubts, my dear students? If you have any, you may just ask, or else we can conclude our class. Yes, no doubts. Okay. So we shall be concluding our class as for now, and hopefully we shall be all seeing you in next class. Thank you so much, my dear students. Shall be seeing you next, and I will be sending you the recording mostly by tomorrow morning. All right. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.